Hey guys, Ollie here, and welcome back to ManyMotion. Now, I apologise for the lateness of this video. There's been a lot of work that needed to be done for university and other such things. But we're finally back with the IPI tests, and this is test 3, clothing. So, without further ado, let's just get into it. So, what are we doing for this test? Well, we're trying to ascertain what is the best clothing that we can wear when we're doing a capture with PlayStation Eyes. In order for it to best pick up our body movements. We've had a lot of problems in the past with doing that push-up. The arms have always folded under themselves, underneath the body. So we're going to try and see which is the best set of clothing to wear in order to try and get the best push-up as well. It's been the most problematic pose so far, so hopefully we can find something which is going to be able to iron that out and something that we can constantly use for future projects, say. Also, how much does baggy clothing affect a capture? So, obviously, you know, the clothes that we wear aren't exactly skin tight to our body, and there will be some clothes in this, mostly upper torso stuff, some clothes that aren't so tight on the top, and whether that actually does have an effect on the capture, and you know, will the skeleton kind of deform in a bad way to what we actually want to capture. And finally, the easiest cleanup potential. So, like previous videos, I'm going to be coming in at this without any intention to properly get my hands dirty on this data yet. It's all going to be about what gives me the best raw data, because at the end of the day, the better the raw data that you get, the less cleanup you'll have to do, the more time you can spend doing smaller cleanups which add more to the animation, as opposed to having to sort out an arm frame by frame for 20 seconds because it just wouldn't pick it up. Yes, we're going to be looking at what gives us the easiest cleanup. So, the clothes. So we've got 3 sets here. On the far left, I went in my usual clothes there. So we've got a Super Nintendo t-shirt on, some relatively baggy jeans compared to the other things that I'm wearing in the other 2, but not baggy at all, really. White shoes, short-sleeved as well, and that's about it. The things around my wrists are just like a watch and something else. So that's number 1. Number 2 there, we've got basically 2 colours, well, 3 colours, 4 colours if you want to be pedantic about it. We've got my face and my hands, which are clear away from everything. We've got the top, which is kind of like a dark blue. We've got some tight, kind of black legging things there going on, and white shoes again. So at least on that second one, we have a contrast on the lower part of the body with the leggings and the shoes. We have a contrast with the upper part of the body with the top and the hands and the face. They're kind of contrasting, but we have a little contrast between the top and the leggings. Likewise, in the first one, that contrast is even more blurred, so we're going to see how this plays out. And finally, on the last one, we've got the all-out option, which is we've got some black shoes there. That was done entirely just to have a different set of data with the shoes. So we've got some black shoes, red leggings, rather tight, a white top, which is relatively tight. I would say it's about the same. To be fair, I'd say all the t-shirts and all the tops in this are around about the same bagginess. Maybe the white one is slightly tighter. We've got the top from the previous one, number 2 in the middle there, on number 3, but the white top is over that. We also have some blue gloves. My face is clear, and I have a red hat on, kind of like it was a deep kind of burgundy hat. So, some things to note before we go on. As always, recorded in 40 Hz of colour. The video time will vary, so by this I mean that if I'm starting to get major problems, I'm cutting it. I'm cutting it there. Like, I'm looking for the best I can get, and consistency, and all these things which are going to make a capture for you the easiest possible. So the length of which stuff will be cleaned up will vary. The nuances of the motion will vary, so obviously I can't do the same star jump twice, it's impossible. My hair is shaggy in this video, but not long, so be as it may, that might be something that you want to take into consideration here. My hair is as it says there, rather shaggy, but it's by no means long, it's not long hair. And another thing which is interesting is that I recently wrote an article for my blog, ManyMotion, about picking the best actor to do the motion capture work for you. And one of the things that you should always look out for is people with joint deformation problems, or just people that generally have a weird posture, or a posture which isn't of the norm, or what you at least want your character to be. So to take into consideration with this, because this is the first real tracking thing that we've done which is more focused on the tracking as opposed to setup things. This is more a tracking thing now, of trying to get the best motion that we can, and the cleanest motion and the most accurate motion. It's worth noting that both of my elbows bend backwards, so I can hyperextend them is the correct terminology. I can hyperextend my arm and in like the elbow area. Another form of hyperextension that you could, that you might actually have, or might know someone who has, are people that can like bend their thumbs back onto their arms. That's another form of hyperextension. So I mean, I'm not going to go too depth into it now, but it's always something to think about when you're casting for motion capture. And in this particular case, if I was being cast as a motion capture actor, I would say I have hyperextension in my arms. So something to note anyway. Okay, so clothing 1, the regular clothing. Let's go and have a look at the video now and see how that came out. Here we are in the clothing 1 video. We've got all the camera setups here, and it's also worth noting that this is using the box method of calibration, which we discussed on the previous video. So yeah, that's the original setup there. As you can see, I've chosen. Let me just turn off bone. Actually, no, I'll keep bones on. I'll put the skin up a little bit. There we go. Actually, no, that's good. It's good down a bit. So, yeah, so in the settings over here, we've got t-shirt over long sleeve t-shirt. Obviously, I haven't got a long sleeve t-shirt on, but I have skin. So it has at least been able to find that. Hands are the same colour as the face. Yeah, roundabout anyway. And yeah, that's all the settings that have gone on. So let's just have a little bit of a play and see how this came out. So, the star jump, that's never really been a problem. The tuck has never really been a problem. Right, that's where I stopped it. I mean, I tried a little bit of cleanup here to try and get this to work. But around about this point, I was like, you know what? It's not going to happen. I mean, there's an arm coming all the way down here. I mean, from the front view here, it kind of looks like they're just crossing over. When you go to these camera shots here, you can tell they're really coming back underneath the body. And that is not ideal. So, a couple of things I can say about this. Number one is that the floor in this place is kind of the same colour as my my hands and my face. So, that's always going to be an issue. I mean, to the naked eye, we can tell that there's a difference, but, IPI might have a little bit of trouble with doing this. And this is by no means a detriment to what IPI can do as a piece of software. It's just that, why wouldn't you try to help it out as best as possible, basically? Why would you want to confuse it? You want to get the best that you can, so don't try and confuse it. So yeah, I mean, these two shades here are rather close. The shoes seem to hold up, which is fine. On the way down, this leg kind of caves in a little bit. And yeah, overall, it just really couldn't find the frame of the arms at all for some reason. It really just pushed them in, and it was not having a good time with it. The head also kind of like bonks down there a little bit. So yeah, I mean, with a lot of cleanup, and possibly keyframing it each frame by frame, just so you can get past the problem sections in your animation, it might be all right. If this is all you've got to go off, then that's obviously all you've got to go off. But personally, this is not great. This is not great. The one thing it did stay consistent on, actually, is the difference between the top and the trousers here. There is a very, very small difference. I mean, there you can't even see it. No, slightly again. But, you know, IPi does a really good job of keeping consistency with those legs as well, and yeah. So overall, not very good with just regular street clothing. I would prefer to stay away from this and at least try and dress my actor in something which was going to be a little bit more distinguishable. Okay, so now let's have a look at clothing option 2 here, which is the long sleeve top, the black trousers, the white shoes, and the face and hands the same. Okay, so we're in the file now, and this is the setup for the second clothing option. So 1.8 meters, that's where I'm at again. I was that in the previous one. Long sleeve t-shirt here, and the hands the same colour as the face. So let's have a bit of a play and see how it came out. So yeah, again, not trying to put too much into the cleanup process. I mean, there's a few little errors going on already. Oh, there's a little bit there. Hands. Oh, it's the push-up again. Look at that. Oh. Oh, God. So, yeah, this is obviously not good. And it's always, you know, we've seen this 3 times now in 3 separate videos. It's always the push-up. The push-up has always been problematic, and I honestly think it's because of cameras like 3 here, and, oh God, and 4. I mean, just look at, I don't quite understand what it's trying to achieve there. But yeah, it doesn't seem fantastic. Anything past that point? So past that point, I mean, yeah, we've got like a bit of a head incline here, just a consistent head incline after that mess up on the push-up. But past that point, past the push-up point, it's kind of alright. It's just this push-up, again, this push-up being the most problematic section. There was a little bit of jittering at this beginning part as well, which I was a little bit concerned about there. It captured it all alright, at least. Some of that could be cleaned up in post. It's usable enough to clean up in post. That kind of stuff there, that's a simple 2-click cleanup, to be honest, in IpiSoft. But yeah, again, want to try and get it as raw as possible. But yeah, push up again there. Bit of an issue there. So, all in all, it did an alright job of finding it. It certainly did a better job of what it did. Well, I don't know if it really did a better job, to be honest. I don't know if I'd call that a better job. I don't know if it's something to do with the hands and the face being the same colour. I'm not sure if it's something to do with the hands and the head potentially getting too close to the ground here, and the ground being kind of like a skin tone. Yeah, but all in all, the push-up, yet again, still proving problematic. So, if we're doing any other just walking animations with this setup, or, you know, just jump animations, or just regular, just cycled animations, this setup would be fine. Still trying to find something that can get through that push-up. So, all in all, if you've got to deal with this is alright. But yeah, again, look out for those ground animations like push-ups. It's still going to be difficult. Okay, so here's the file loaded up, and as you can see already, for some reason, the posture and the feet on this is just miles better already. I'd like to say I spent more time on this one, but I really didn't. I spent about an hour on each file that's tracking and doing any small amounts of cleanup, or attempting to do small amounts of cleanup just to continue the process. So yeah, let's have a look down the settings quickly. So 1.8 meters again, t-shirt over long sleeve t-shirt. Yeah, so we've got the white and the blue there. Hands colour of same face is not ticked because we have blue gloves on here for the hands, and the face is the face colour. Shoes are black, came up kind of like a chocolatey dark brown here. Hair has come up like a dark pink, kind of it's not so close to the the burgundy colour, but you know, pants red, sleeves blue, shirt creamy white kind of thing. A lot of this, I think, is because of the actual video itself. So the video is always a little tiny bit washed out, and it's not as vibrant as real life, obviously. So let's have a look anyway at how this handles up, and let's have a look at that infamous push-up. So, yep, star jump fine, tuck fine. Here we go. Oh, there we go. Look at that, beautiful. The points, the head still seems to be somewhat in a correct direction and orientation at least. Beautiful. Right then, okay, so everything else was fine up to here. Let's have a look at this push-up again. So we can see here, if you can see that, we've got a bit of a bag here on the clothing, a bit of bagginess coming on here. And you can really see how that does actually affect there. You see, like, I'm not sure if that's the bagginess of the clothing or if it's just something snapping out of place, but I would put that down potentially to the bagginess of the clothing. You can see the white here, but if we look at all the other shots, yeah, I would be tempted to put that down to bagginess entirely, because we would have a clear gap underneath the chest here if the top wasn't kind of touching the floor. So it wouldn't have a bit of an issue of trying to figure out where exactly the spine lies. Both times we have clipping, well, I say clipping, we have snapping to the floor on this side of the body. On the other side, it's hard to say whether we do or not. This would indicate that we don't really on this side, because you can really see that right knee go for the floor there. And we don't really see any movement like that from the left knee. So yeah, I mean, that seems to be pretty fantastic to me. It seems to be the best method that I've seen so far. And another thing to know on the push-ups when we get round to it is look at the head. Because of that hat now on the head, it jiggles around a little bit, but it constantly keeps the correct orientation that we need. So a simple thing like a beanie hat on the head there, just to take it away from the same colour as the face. I mean, if you've got darker hair, that might also do it. But for me, I'm relatively fair-haired, that, in conjunction with my skin tone, was potentially messing up the push-ups on the previous takes. But this one, I think we might have a winner here. So that's the 3 videos done, and I think it's time now for a little bit of an evaluation. So in conclusion, it was evident that there was one clear winner, and that was the third setup, clothing options with pretty much different colours on a majority of the body parts. Now, that's all well and good, but without actually planning to do it on that level, you know, clothing option 2 still did work. You know, the push-up has always been a problematic area, be it whatever we've tried to actually do with different heights of cameras and different calibration times and calibration setups and different things. The push-up has always been a little bit of a problem. But out of all of the setups that we've had and all of the stuff that we've done to get up to this point now, it seems like using the third clothing option with the hat and the top and everything did seem to give the best and cleanest results that we could potentially ask for at this stage without going into any further cleanup, which we will be doing at a later date. The bagginess of the clothes did actually play a factor within the tracking, and it did push down parts of the body at certain points. That being said, the clothing that we were using wasn't particularly too baggy, so it could have been that the body was just trying to connect with the ground plane because it assumed that it was lying on the floor. Another thing to note with the push-ups is the arms. Now, what I didn't really touch on in the actual walkthrough videos was that in the first one, the arms just exploded underneath themselves. In the second one, the arms stayed relatively there. They stayed in the structure, but it was the head that went under. And then the third one, where we'd actually segregated off the hands and the arms, and then the upper arms, and then the head, and then the actual scalp itself, that was when it all came together. Now, you could argue that at this point we're getting out of the realms of markerless motion capture and getting into less marked motion capture. To that, I agree with that to a degree. I still think that this method is worth exploring, though, entirely because the cost factor is so much less than using bigger systems, and also, see, the markers that you would have to buy are available on the high street, and they're available at a very low cost if you go to the right places. Whereas, yes, if you went and bought a higher, bigger grade system with you know, the actual the blips, the markers, or a skeleton-based system where you actually wear a suit which has a skeleton in it, the results might be better, but for the cost that you're paying for this particular piece of software and the extra equipment that you need in order to push it to its best, is still less than doing that. And this series was always supposed to be aimed at independent developers anyway, people who don't necessarily have the money or the means to get to these bigger motion capture areas, but still want to use motion capture within their games or their productions or films even. So in conclusion, it's probably best not to go in your street clothes. It's also probably, you know, if you've got someone who can basically block out two colours with themselves, a lower half and a top half, and try and get as much contrast in those colours as possible, you'd be alright. But the best solution, at least from what we've seen and from what I've found, it could be different from everybody else's, but it's always best to segregate off colours on the body parts as much as IPi will allow, with contrasting colours that will not clash. So, for example, when we were doing the push-ups, the hands and the face were always the same colour. Let's take the floor plane out of this for a second, because it was kind of the same colour as the hands and the face, but when doing the push-ups, the hands and the face are the same colour, and when you've got those back cameras that are always trying to look for something with the skeleton, this is where this starts to happen, and the hands start clipping to the face, and that's not what we want. So a red hat with a skin-coloured face and blue hands, there's no way these are going to confuse themselves with each other. I mean, red and blue, no. The hat, if it was pale, may get confused with the face. But it's all about creating contrasting colours, which then the system will be able to pick up, and will be able to pick up cleanly, and you will get the best animations for whatever you're doing. So with that, that kind of wraps up the initial research stage of IpiSoft and for PlayStation Eyes. Rest assured there will be more videos on the way, as well as more articles over on the blog, which I'll put a link in the description about where you can go to see that. I'm hoping to do some facial capture stuff, as well as using the Kinect a little bit more in these videos. I'm really interested to see how the Kinect holds up against for PlayStation Eyes. I think that's going to be interesting. So with that, I wish everyone a happy Christmas, Merry New Year, and I'll be back in the new year with some new videos, some articles, and whatever I feel like doing. So, see you next time.